How you been, bro?
Not too bad, man. Just kind of getting my feet under me down here. It's been hectic moving all my shit down here and craziness, but it's been good. How about you?
Doing well, man. Got some opportunities in the mix. Trying to be on the move like you, but it's cruising right now. So tell me, how has you been there? You've been in Nashville for about what, 2, 3 weeks now?
Yeah, so I'm coming up on the end of this week. I think will be a month.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
got you.
So
How's that been?
yeah,
How's the transition?
it's been nice. Um, it's crazy. Like when you move, you don't realize like how much stuff you have to move until you like actually have to do it. And I mean, I'll be honest, I got rid of just like half of my stuff because I'm like, I don't like, I'm living minimalist now. It's like, I
Mhm.
don't want to have to go through all this. So it's been kind of hectic, but honestly, like, I love it down here, man. Like, the weather's great, 9 days out of 10. The people are crazy nice. It's nuts. It's like everywhere you go, somebody's trying to offer like help with something or, inviting you to go somewhere or something like that. And that's just kind of like that Southern mentality, that Southern niceness. It's awesome.
Yes, sir. Hey, that makes me happy for you, bro. That sounds like a good place to be with what you got rocking.
I appreciate it.
So tell me, because for the background for the audience, Hunter and I haven't really had a lengthy discussion before, but it's always been in the DMs. Okay, we
Yeah.
said what's up at the Arnold. So I'm not even honestly sure how we started following each other, but it's just one of those Instagram followings where you're like, all right, I respect what this person does. I see you doing good work out here. So I had to bring him on the podcast.
Honestly, I think it was when I think you were starting to put together your gym
Yeah.
and somehow it popped up on my feed and I was like, oh, he's getting like all elite FPS equipment. He clearly like he knows his shit.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll give him a follow. Like I'll see what's up. And then yeah, just keeping up with that stuff. And then like you said, we just mostly talk in the DMs or whatever, just checking in on each other, seeing what's up. And then it was actually funny when I saw you at the Arnold, I was like, damn, dude, that guy looks so familiar. Like, why does he look so familiar? I was like, oh, that's freaking, are you kidding me? And I went over, it's crazy. You look so much bigger in person than you do like on Instagram. I don't know if it's just like your frame because you're a pretty tall dude. What are you like 6'2", 6'3"?
Yeah, yeah. No, I thought
Yeah,
the
and I was
same
just
thing
like
about you though.
I was just like, damn, dude, he's a big ass dude. And then I like went over and it took you a second too. You were like, wait a minute, who are you? And I was like, we follow each other. I was like, we shoot each other DMs every once in a while. You're like, oh shit. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty funny.
Yeah, dude, small world, small world, especially in the Ohio fitness scene. I feel like everybody just gravitates toward the Arnold. So it's just like you're bound to meet people there if you haven't met them yet.
Yeah, it's like that one scene out of every year where you're just like, I know you, I know you. I don't know why I know you, but I know you too. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
yeah. So that's our little background, and I'm very glad to be bringing the podcast to the people, sharing ideas, just seeing. I feel like you've done some pretty interesting stuff along your progression. You'll have to kind of lay it out for me because I know you were at Honda for a hot minute doing their fitness center, correct?
Yeah, so I bounced around a little bit. I mean, if you want, I can kind of start from the
Yeah,
beginning.
take me through it, man. Take me through it.
Yeah, so I actually didn't start like training or working out or anything until like midway through my freshman year of college. And like I don't know about you, but like in high school, like with sports and stuff, like you have the weight room, but there's like two different sides of it. It's like you have the kids that are like men, like they have like a full beard, and then you had kids like me who I looked like I was 12 and I was 18. Like it didn't
Show that
it there's just like two different sides of it. So
100%.
like when yeah, exactly. Like when I was in high school, I was like, I'll go for sports, but like I'm not trying to outdo anybody here. Like to be honest, it's kind of intimidating. You're just like, what the hell am I doing in here with them? Like it's
Mhm.
nuts. So in high school, like I went, like I said, for like sports and whatnot, but I never really embraced it. And then my freshman year, I went to Bowling Green State, and I had a random roommate super cool dude. His name's Austin Baker. He's living in Cincinnati area now, but he was one of those dudes. He was kind of like country strong, you know, like he kind of lives out in the middle of nowhere. Like he's strong for no reason, but he'll go into the weight room, you know, 3, 4 times a week and just put up crazy numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was kind of like, you know, like you should come in with me. And I'm like, bro, have you seen me? Like I weigh like a buck 45, like maybe 150. Like I'm not doing that. And he's like, come on, just like start coming with me. And like once you get started, you'll get hooked. I'm like, all right. So I started going with him, and then it was like probably another 6 months into that, and I was just like, oh, I'm hooked. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is nuts. And I started seeing like a lot of progression, stuff like that. And then it got to the point where people were like kind of talking to me, and they'd be like, hey man, like, you know, like what are you doing? Like who does your programming or whatever? It's like honestly, dude, I just do like a bunch of research and I kind of put stuff together. Didn't have like one specific program that I followed. I just kind of pieced stuff together. So I was like, you know, this is working pretty well. And then it got to the point where people were like asking me to write programs for that. And I was like, okay, like I like that. I like that. That's good to be like, you know, acknowledged for like something you're doing like that. And so I started doing that, and probably about midway through my junior year, I was like, shoot, like I don't want to do business school, man. Like I don't want to sit at a desk all day and, you know, wear a suit and tie and not talk to anybody and just have phone calls all day. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I should be doing something with this. But at that point, I'm like, I'm already, you know, 2+ years into a degree. Is it really worth it to, you know, backtrack and try and start over? So I ended up finishing off my degree. I moved down to Columbus, you know, got my certifications, got what I could. And I was like, at this point, the best thing I can do is just get as much experience as I can. Because as you know, like, especially as a young trainer, like, they don't care, like, what you have certification wise. Like, obviously, they want you to have something, but they want you to have experience. It's like, well, bro, I'm 22. Like, how you expect me to have experience by this point? So I started working down here or down in Columbus. I was working for a couple different places. I worked for a place called Chiseled Gym, which is a short north area. I worked for Self Made Training Facility, which that was kind of my own like um deal. Like I had to go get my own clients, stuff like that, which is way harder than I anticipated. But you know, it worked out. And then I was also working at a place called Stretch Zone. So when I was there, I was just trying to pick stuff up that I could like incorporate with training, you know, maybe helping my clients along the way. And then COVID hit. So I was like, well, I don't really have anything else to do at this point. I mean, I can go get a sales job or something with my business degree, but it's like, do I really want to give up, you know, all that time that I've worked on that stuff to try and do something else? And I was like, nah, man, like I got to stick with this. So what I tried to do is I switched all my clients over to online during that time. And you know how it went. It was like, oh, first it's going to be 3 weeks, no gyms. And then it was 3 months. And then it was, you know, 6 months. It's like, come on, like, what are we doing? So eventually I ended up getting back. And then I moved down to the short north of Columbus. And I was looking for some different training jobs just to kind of keep me busy and whatnot. And the Honda job came up, and they were telling me, you know, basically you're going to be in charge of this facility. So whenever we have employees coming in that want to train, if they want personal training, you know, you can help them with that. If you just want to help them on tips and stuff, you know, basically it's your facility. You can run it how you want, you know, within these guidelines. And for me, that was like perfect. And, you know, obviously with Honda, they're a great company. So all the benefits that came with it was awesome. And then what happened next was I kind of knew I was going to move south. I didn't know when, but I kind of knew at some point. And my lease in Columbus was up July 30th, I believe. And I was like, I mean, if there's ever been a time to do it, like now's the time to do it. But the struggle was moving down to Tennessee, everybody wants you to do an in-person interview. And it's like, well, man, I work, 5, 6 days a week. I can't be making 7 hour drives, to be coming down for interviews. So it got to the point where like the last couple of weeks at Honda, they were like, why are you taking so much time off? Like, why? And I'm like, I just got family things and I'm sick this week. Like, so eventually I did end up landing the job I have now. I work for a company. It's called Anatomy, is the base of it. So it's Anatomy gyms. They're based out of Miami, Florida, and they partnered with One Hotels, which is like a luxury hotel. And essentially, what they do is you've been to like any hotel gym, it's typically crap. Like you have, one weight stack, a few treadmills, and if you're lucky, like maybe a leg extension. What Anatomy does is they have like all the equipment that you would typically have in a normal gym in the hotel. They have this giant red turf. We've got like a room for classes, kettlebells up to like 50, 60 pounds, stuff like that. So it's not your typical hotel gym. It's, a nice facility. And basically, they just opened the hotel itself on the 8th, and then they opened the fitness facility last Monday. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm basically just getting that up and running. And they basically just gave me the keys to it. They were like, we have, these certain things that we want to see, but it's kind of your baby. You make it how you want it to be, and if you have some ideas, pitch it to us and, we'll see where we can run with it. So I'm doing that. And then obviously, as you know, always doing online coaching as well.
Very cool, dude. That's a that's a really cool spot to be in right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, man, I got a lot of questions for you in terms of like day to day, some of your plans. But before we get to that, what is the best BG bar?
Oh, um, it depends on the mood, man. Depends on
Hmm.
the mood.
Okay. Okay.
Um, I tell you what, when I was like a freshman in college, it would have been
I know what
like
you're about to say.
it would have been like Uptown or Shots
Shots.
because yeah, because it was just like you're 18 and everybody's just going wild in there, and you're like,
Yeesh.
okay, like we're getting down like that. And then I would say as I got older, 149, I had quite a few friends that worked there, and that managed there. So it was kind of like the spot to be because it was chill, but every once in a while get a little rowdy, but it was just like a very friendly atmosphere just because I knew so many people there. And then whenever I go back for like their homecomings or stuff, I'll go to Grumpy Dave's, which it's this little hole in the wall with the karaoke. I forget what night they have it, but they have karaoke in there. And it's just a chill spot, man. It's like everybody knows they're there to have a good time. So those are always three good ones.
The go-tos. Yeah, a lot of my friends from high school went to BG, man. For those who don't know BG, you're missing out because I'll tell you what, BG is a good school, and that's it.
They they have
You
like
probably
25
can't hang.
bars within like a quarter mile of each other.
Yeah, those who didn't go to BG probably can't hang at BG. That's what I quickly learned. But my buddies, they were all like in construction management program, that type of deal. So they were big on like docks and brat house. Trying to
Ooh,
think.
I forgot about Brauhaus. Brauhaus is
Yeah.
good too. The
Yeah.
only thing with that, it was so small.
Yeah.
It was like you fit like 50 people in there and you're all sitting on each other's lap.
Mm-hmm. What a campus, man. What a campus. I
Yeah.
did this thing called Buckeye Boys State too. I want to say there's like this dorm that was like a tower. It's like Offenhauer Tower or something like that. Like it
Yeah, yeah.
had a weird name, and that's where we stayed. And we would be walking all over that campus. So it's a good school, and I'm sure that business degree is paying off, even though you're out here in the fitness space holding it down, man. That's really cool. Good
Yeah,
mix.
and in some sense it's still there.
Right, right. So you get out, and a lot of people, obviously we all not all of us, but a lot of people get college degrees, and then it's always kind of like a crapshoot of like, are you going to use your degree with whatever career you choose to pursue or not? So like as you were transitioning into the fitness field specifically, did you get any kickback from like your family, from people that cared about you? Was that ever a tough conversation, or was it always just like you always had that support?
I mean, not really. I think it might have been in their back of their heads,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, my parents have always been super supportive of it. Um, my dad, he owned his own business for, geez, probably 40 years. And so he kind of has a similar mindset to me when it comes to kind of making things, out of what you get and making it your own. Um, so I didn't get a whole lot of kickback, but it was more so like, okay, if you're going to do that, what route are you going to take? Are you going to be, I hope you're not that guy that's just chilling at the front desk the whole time. Like, so it was like, if you're going to do that, you need to make sure that you're making it worth your time and that you're not, getting pushed into a position where, maybe you have a manager that's just like, yeah, we'll get you some sessions. And then, you're there 6 months later and you've trained five people. Like, it's just, I feel like, especially as a younger trainer, you can go into certain situations where they have those people that have been training there for years and that's kind of their spot and they don't so much delegate, you know, different clients to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that was always like a big thing with my parents. It's like you can do that, but make sure, you're going to do that. It's not just you're going to show up, take your hourly paycheck and then go home. Make sure you're getting your sessions. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up, man, because I feel like for a lot of people that want to be trainers out of school or out of even high school, they got the cert. It's something that you really kind of have to check yourself with at first too, because it really does play out pretty much exactly like you described. I had a very similar experience myself, and I also had the kind of feeling in the back of my head that like, you know, it's awesome that they were training like some of these trainers that had been at the gym that I was were, they were training people, staying pretty busy, but you could tell it was just kind of like, how are you going to really elevate yourself and set yourself up for success later on? I don't know if you ever saw that where it's like, yeah, it's cool. You're probably making okay money, but you really have to be kind of a go getter and you have to have that, like you said, like, uh, I'm not exactly sure how your dad phrased it, but like getting what you have and making it into something better. Essentially, you have to have that type of mindset. I think that's really important to have, especially for the people that are just starting out. Just good for them to know, man. So I'm glad you brought that up for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And even to double down on that too, it's like you also have to look and see like, is a certain place maybe not paying you quite what you're worth, but they're just running you into the ground with sessions. I mean,
Mm.
I've heard of trainers that are getting hit with like 12 sessions in a day every day. And it's like, if you're not getting paid, kind of what you're worth for that, you're going to burn out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
trainer burnout is so real, man. Like, you have to make sure, yes, obviously, you want to get as many sessions as you can, to start, or if you're not doing anything online, but if you are doing those 12, 13 sessions where you're doing those split shifts every single day, like you're going to end up resenting it. So you got to make sure that you have a little bit of balance in your life to the point where you still enjoy going into work every day. I mean, obviously, not every day is perfect, but you should want to go in and help those people, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Another great point, man. I think I'm not really sure how the structure goes in Ohio because after graduation, I actually moved out to the East Coast for a little bit and it was set up pretty well out there. I was getting paid fairly well. I still felt like it wasn't perfect, but you do have to have some trade offs when you're working for a company, working for a certain gym. Uh,
Right.
what particularly made you wanted to, or what made you want to move to Columbus after you left BG?
So with that, I don't know, like there was a few different things that went into it. It was like, I'm one of those people, it's like you have your fun in college and that's your college town per se. But after that chapter, it's time to, get the wheels going. It's time to move on to something different. And, I have nothing against people that stay in their college towns that, maybe they found an awesome job and that's what worked. But I know kind of how I am. And if I'm stagnant for too long and I'm doing the same stuff every weekend, or if I'm just like in that same groove too long, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel productive. So that was a big thing. It was like something fresh, needing a new start. Columbus is obviously a great city. We both know that. And then for me too, it was like, we talked about how older trainers in certain places, kind of do get all those clients and, they have that roster full. In not to say be a super small town, but it's a smaller town compared to Columbus. I didn't see an opportunity where I could go in right away and start training a bunch of people just because that community is so much smaller. Whereas when you're in Columbus, I don't know what the population is, but it's a million plus easy. That's so many more opportunities for you to interact with people, for you to meet different people, to train different people, and honestly to learn from different people. That was a big thing for me too. Was when I went down there. I know you've been to American Barbell. Originally, when it was in Pickerington, I went there and I had no idea what that place was. I was just looking for gyms in Columbus, and I was like, "Damn, this place looks pretty badass." And I go in there, and of course, first time I'm ever in there, I'm like, "Who's this little jack dude that's like 5'6"? Looks like he's skinless because he's so lean." And of course, you know who I'm talking about. It's John Meadows. And I'm like, oh my gosh, man. Like, I didn't even, like, at that point, I didn't even realize that he had lived in Columbus. I had watched
Yeah.
his videos, but I had no idea. And, I'm like, well, damn, dude. Like, if I'm down here and he's here, maybe I can learn from him. Even if it's just, a couple conversations here and there, that stuff, it makes a difference in the long run. And, rest in peace, John. I got to talk to him, maybe 5, 6 times total, but it's those conversations that make a big difference. And that was another thing. I was like, I know there's people down here that are going to help me because obviously I was young. I didn't know everything I needed to know. And if I can get any information from anybody, I'll take it. So that was a big part too.
Very cool, dude. That's pretty crazy that you found the American barbell like that, man. Because it's kind of like a one of those things that's just like supposed to happen. I feel like,
Oh,
it's
100%. It was crazy.
yeah, that's very cool. And I think it to kind of expand on it, like the fact that it happened that way. It might not happen that way for everybody. I'm sure you had to put work into to make those connections happen or to make other connections happen. Like quick side tangent for me, I don't think now looking back on it, it was the most like I don't think this individual is by any means the most knowledgeable guy, but like seeing how he operated, there was a gym out in Pataskala, so even farther east of Pickerington. I would be out there picking this dude's brain. He used to, I don't know if you remember the supplement company Muscle Farm, but he used to
I
be,
know who you're talking about.
yeah, yeah. So he used to be high up in there, just like, hardworking dude. And I would be driving, 30 minutes from OSU's campus at 3:30 in the morning to go train with them and to see how he operated, see how some of those guys operated. And it might not be a forever thing, but I feel like for the up and coming people looking to try to make a little break in the fitness industry, you're gonna have to put in that initial work to build some relationships, learn from some people that are doing it right and making money. Maybe they're not doing it right, but they're still making money. But
Right, right.
yeah, that's cool. That we kind of have a little parallel in some mentor figures as the climb began. So
Absolutely.
I think his name is Nate, the guy that owns American Barbell. I believe that's
Yeah. Have you seen all the construction they're doing now?
yeah, yeah. It's
It's
just
going to be crazy.
yeah, talking to him and picking his brain on the whole, owning the gym, expanding it. Also another super knowledgeable guy, very, very nice guy as
Hmm.
well. So yeah, some good
Yeah,
people.
he's got the setup right there, man.
Yeah, it's very, very nice. It's top three gyms I've been to probably. in terms of equipment. And especially once he gets more space, it's going to be crazy.
I
Because
was just gonna say it's only gonna get better.
yeah, the new location, it's a little tight, but man, it's gonna be crazy once he finishes everything. So shout out to Nate, shout out to American Barbell. That's really cool that you. How long did you train at American Barbell for?
So I was there. Um, I want to say I started going probably. I would say I was probably there for like a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I had to switch gyms because uh, they ended up moving over to what's that town? I can't
Now
think of it
into
right now. Yeah, and
pretty much.
with me having to drive to Marysville every day,
Yeah.
it was already a 40-minute drive, and then plus another 25. So I
Yeah.
was probably there for about a year and a half. And then like the last 6 to 8 months that I was in Columbus, I was just right downtown in Columbus for
Yeah.
the gyms. So
Did you always live in the short north when you were in Columbus?
no, I bounced around. I was in Polaris for the first year, and then I had to go home for a little bit during the whole COVID break, but I was still training all my clients online. And then when I moved back, I couldn't get a lease started until July. So I ended up living in an Airbnb for like a month and a half or something like that. And it
Mm.
was a pretty unique thing. It was just right downtown. But thank God I don't have to do that again. It was like living out of a suitcase for a month and a half is weird. And
Yeah.
then I moved to Short North for the last year. So
Oh yeah. Yeah, I got the whole scenic route of Columbus, man. Interesting. Interesting.
yeah,
Nice.
100%.
Yeah, dude. So you made this big transition down to Nashville. In general, how's the gym culture down there? You found any cool spots? Any impressive physiques that you're seeing down there?
So I right now am training at Redcon One's gym,
Mm-hmm.
and it is huge.
Mm-hmm.
They have like a whole section for like back equipment, a whole section for leg equipment, you know, two different like 5 station cable stacks. Just you name it, they probably have it. And then they also have like a whole separate room. It looks like it used to be like a basketball court where they had like two side by side basketball courts, but they ripped up all the old wood flooring and put down like mats. And it's like a strongman slash CrossFit slash whatever else you want to do in there, that type of area. And it's just nuts, man. Like, I think because just how Tennessee is, like, they're set up with things, you have to drive a good distance to get to another gym like that. So there's a Carbon Culture, which is down in Franklin, and that's really nice too. But for me, that's a 25, 30-minute drive, which I could make it, but it's like every day, probably not. And then Redcon's 10 minutes from me. So
Mm-hmm.
those are the two main ones. But I think because, those gyms are kind of few and far between, everybody goes to like those main gyms. So it's like you're never, a big fish in a small pond. Every
Yeah.
time you're going in, you're like, haven't seen you before. Wow. You know, that guy's 6'6", 375 pounds. He does strongman. Yep. Okay. So it's just like, it really ups the intensity every time you go in to train because you're like, shit, man, like you see all these monsters around you. You don't want to be that one that's, leaving a rep on the table and everybody's looking over like, oh, yeah, he trained soft. Like,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, that's not how it actually is. We always think, people are looking at us in the gym. It's not even close. Nobody cares what you're doing. But even if you have that little psychological thing in your head, it helps.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. It's always good to be in a spot with a crazy well, it sounds like extremely well equipped gym with some hard people training around you. So that's dope that you got that. And I feel like also it's dope to have a spot where you're not, you maybe you could work out in the gym that you're managing, but everybody knows that can get a little dry. Being in the same place, doing your work and your workout can be tough. So that's
I
dope
was
that you're.
gonna say, yeah, that's the one thing that, I've had in the past too, is like when I was working for Honda, it was kind of the same thing. They had a really nice facility, but it's like work, play, kind of keeping them split up. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, like if I need to, I'll get a session in there. But if I have the choice, I'll come home, get something to eat, then head to Redcon. So it's more ideal for me.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Alrighty, everybody. So for those watching, for those listening, I guess Zoom now has a fucking 40-minute limit. They said no more free shit. The pandemic's over. Hunter knew this. He's prepared. The podcast host was not, so that's on me. My bad, Hunter. We're back though.
Zoom wants your money, man.
They do. They do. Did you like read about this? Did they send out a notification squad, or am I just behind the times?
Honestly, I just updated my stuff today because I was like, I feel like something's gonna go wrong. So I was like,
You were
I'm
right.
like, I'm just gonna update it. Hopefully everything goes smooth. But we need one more.
Hell yeah, shit. Well, I give you props for being prepared. I guess from now on, I'm gonna have to go for this Zoom Premium, but it's all good. Or find a new podcast medium. That's always an option too. But yeah, man, we were just talking a little bit about the gyms. So I'm interested to hear kind of what you do within your own business because it seems like you got the whole training thing down pretty good. You've had some great influences throughout your life. But there's a whole other side, two more things I feel like we should cover. The first being business, and then a little bit about your competitive career too. So
Yeah, sure.
what are some of your plans with this? Well, like, is the gym called Anatomy, or is it just like that hotel's gym basically?
It's Anatomy partnered with One Hotels.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
right now we haven't even officially opened to the public.
Mm-hmm.
So we are just basically having guests that come in through the hotel, um, and training them. And then what our plans are for the future, we don't have an established date yet, but hopefully mid to end of this month is we'll have not only the guests for the hotel, but also the public and everybody of downtown Nashville will be able to come in as well to do personal training, just because it is such a nice space down there. It's like I said, not like a regular hotel gym.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what we're shooting for moving forward. Um, and then I do believe we have a few people coming in for like classes on the weekends, like yoga and stuff like that. Not my forte, but more power to them. But yeah, we definitely have some more stuff in the works. And yeah, man, it's a lot just because it is, like I said, just opening, and we're kind of getting all the kinks out of things, and we have a lot of equipment. Maybe there's like a few pieces for like the cables that we don't have yet that
Mm-hmm.
we are realizing we need. Um, so right now we're just trying to tie up all our loose ends and really get ready for when we open to the public to be able to full force, give it for everybody and make sure that anybody can come in and get a nice training session in.
Nice. So is it mostly personal training centric, or could people just come in and like be a member or drop in for a day pass and do their own thing, or does it mostly just revolve around training?
So if it if they're not a hotel guest, it will be mostly just personal training.
Mm-hmm.
If they are hotel guests, they can come in, obviously whenever they want and use the facility as they want. But for anybody that's just of the public and just coming in, it'd have to be either personal training, or we do have a spa that's attached to it as well. And they do great work over there. So I'm pretty sure if they were to have like a massage session or something like that, they would be able to also use the gym as well. So that's a lot of exciting stuff going on because we can kind of bounce, clients off of each other and bounce ideas off of each other as well.
That's really cool, man. I feel like that's a ton of opportunity for people, whether you're getting them for personal training, online training, whatever it might be. Um, lots of opportunity there. And it's like I'm sure it's an established concept like that probably exists in other cities, but I haven't really heard about it. So that's pretty new to me and pretty cool. Um,
Yeah, and it works great too because it's like in a town like Nashville, like I think you might be able to do it in Columbus, but I think in a town like Nashville or like Miami, because it is such like a sought after destination, it really works well. And like obviously Nashville, country music, we're probably gonna have a bunch of country music stars coming in and staying there because it is a really nice hotel. So for me, that's huge getting an opportunity to potentially work with people of that caliber. So
mhm.
something I'm really looking forward to.
That'd be really cool. Do you ever see yourself taking on other trainers to get more people in, or is it just gonna kind of be like your type of deal?
I think once we get to that level, absolutely. Um, you know, I'm hoping I get to the point where I have to go to kind of higher up management and be like, hey, I can't do this all myself anymore. Um, Obviously, right now we're still getting the ball rolling, but I foresee once we get everything all set in stone that I'll probably definitely have to hire on a few more trainers to keep everybody, occupied.
Yeah, yeah. That's yeah, a lot of cool opportunity, man. Do you ever feel like pressure from like having that position? Like is it stressful or do you feel like you're pretty well equipped from what you've done in the past to deal with it and handle it?
Not so much pressure, but more so just kind of surprise, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it is weird too, being, you know, a little bit younger than, most of the people that are probably in my position. So, like when people come in, they're like, "Oh, like, what do you do here?" And it's like, "Oh, well, oversee this entire facility and, I take training clients and whatnot." It's like, "Oh, so you're like, you know, the high, upper echelon on this," and it's like, yeah, it's different. Like it's almost like when you meet like your parents' friends and they see you as like a little kid. It's
Yeah.
like you're like, well, I'm 24. I'm gonna be 25. Like I get that you are older than me, but it's like that's kind of that day's gone. So it's more so surprising just getting used to that stuff. And honestly, just kind of finding my ground with that because I've been in charge of facilities, but I've never had to start one from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of finding out stuff through that. But it's awesome to be honest.
Yeah. What's been like one of the difficult or like some of the trials you've encountered as you're getting this thing off the ground?
Um, Honestly, it's like finding the busy times because I mean, just like any other gym, it's like you have your busy times, but being a hotel and being a destination spot, it's not normal, I guess. It's like typically, for a gym, 4:30 to 7 or whatever, it's hectic as hell. But here, 4:30 to 7, people have already eaten dinner. They're going out, starting to have a couple drinks, like they're getting ready to go down and hang out on Broadway. So, finding that maybe early mornings are going to be our busy spots where, maybe I have to come in an hour or two earlier to really hit that client base. So right now, that's just kind of what I'm trying to figure out is what are our busiest times and then also what are our busiest days because realistically, most people aren't flying in on a Tuesday and then leaving on a Thursday. Most people are coming in on a Thursday or a Friday, and then they're leaving on Monday or Sunday or something like that. So it's just kind of finding those busy times and kind of how we can capitalize on that and
Mm-hmm.
definitely get the most people in for those sessions. So
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I feel you there, man. The logistics of it and there's even yeah like you said a little bit more of a curveball with it being a destination where a lot of people are seeing the sights drinking the drinks. There's some cool things at play there that make it. I think it's like for me and I bet for you too, it's just one of those like interesting things to navigate where it adds another little curveball to it, but then you just knock it out of the park like you
oh
do.
yeah, well it's like you have people come in and they come in at like 1 and they're like, "Oh, I didn't see you in here yesterday." And he's like, "Yeah, yesterday I was taking tequila shots with my family at 1." And it's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, well, I guess that makes sense." So It's just funny because you have to realize that they're there for vacation. They're not there to work out. But if you can get them to work out, then that's the thing.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, definitely. So I'm gonna put you on the hot seat, and I think this will make for a great clip. But why should people hit up your spot and train with you potentially or your future employees?
I would say as far as facilities go, we probably have the nicest one in downtown Nashville, bar none. Especially, being 4 weeks old at this point, our facilities definitely the nicest. As far as the people that we have working for us, I have never been around a group where everybody's so respectful, everybody knows their stuff, like they're there to do work and make sure that you get that best experience. And then honestly, as far as training with me, it's like I've kind of seen it from both sides. Like I've been that person that was super skinny, and then I've taken it too far and done a dirty bulk where I was like 220 pounds almost, and I was huffing and puffing to try and bend over and tie my shoes. Like, so I've done both. And I also understand that people are there to enjoy themselves. And I feel like a lot of trainers, yes, they may get a lot out of their clients, but at the end of the day, like if your client's not enjoying themselves, they're not going to come back. Like, and that's the main thing. You want to make sure that your clients want to come back. And so I just try to make it as enjoyable for my clients as I can and make sure that I can get them the best results that I can. And, if they come back, that's awesome because honestly, for a destination spot, reality is you're probably not going to see them more than twice in a year. But if they do, that's awesome. So I would say those are probably the three main reasons that somebody should definitely come and see us.
I like it. Well put, well put. And that's got to be a good feeling, as I'm sure you'll see in the future. Like if you see some return clients, return customers, maybe they're coming once every couple of months, once a year. That would be the true sign that you're doing a good job, which I'm sure will happen.
Absolutely.
But as you mentioned, you saw some of that Elite FTS equipment. Being a little bit of an equipment nerd myself, what are some of the things that you guys have? Whether it's like specific brands, specific pieces that you really like in the gym, fill me in.
We have um, the two pieces that I really like. So for me, I struggle with like on certain pieces that don't converge and they just stay like kind of straight up and down. For me, it can be kind of difficult to engage that target muscle, but our pull down is converging. So you start out with that like super nice wide stretch. And then as you come down, it comes in and the handles are kind of rotational. So I love that piece.
Nice.
Um, and then that's selectorized too. So you don't have to be lugging around a bunch of weights to get it. And then we also have a converging chest press, which same thing there. I struggle when it comes to locking out on a press and focusing on pushing my biceps into my chest to make sure I get that peak contraction. Well, this is basically doing it for you, and you're just focusing on giving it hell to get it out. So I would say those two pieces are probably my favorites. And then honestly, like the fact that we have the amount of like kettlebells and free weights that we do is crazy. Like I've never even seen a hotel gym with a kettlebell past like 25, let alone like 50 pounds. So stuff like that that you can kind of, use for some functional training as well is pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, it's a good mix. That's awesome, dude. Yeah. I mean, shoot, you got me sold. Next time I'm in Nashville, I'm gonna hit you up.
For
Come.
sure, man. For sure. We'll have to go there and then we'll definitely have to get a leg day at Redcon. They got
Yes,
some
sir.
pretty unique leg pieces.
Oh yeah, I bet. I bet. But yeah, dude, it sounds like you're off to a good start with what you got going. So I'm definitely interested in seeing how it kind of progresses and unfolds. And I'm sure for everyone out there, just go ahead, hit them with your Instagram while we're at the topic. Hit them with your Instagram. Make sure that they.
Yeah, so it'll be at Life of HL. So nice and short, but definitely if you can give me a follow. But
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I am also still taking online clients. So I don't have a huge roster right now just because I am working, full time there, but I'm always interested in taking people that want to work hard. That's the biggest thing, as you probably know, is keeping those guys and girls that are committed. So if you want to work hard, shoot me a DM. We'll see what we can do.
I like it, man. I like it. Real quick before we sign off, I'm definitely interested in hearing about your competitive experiences, what you got planned for the future too, because I don't think we've really ever gotten into it, but you've got some cool shots from the. Have you done one or two shows so far?
Just one, yeah, just one. So I did a show in October. It was Halloween of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was also kind of like right in the pandemic stuff where I was like, well, I don't have anything else to do. Like, I can't go anywhere. I was like, but they're still holding the show. I'll prep for a show, and so I did that show. I dieted for 16 weeks. Went well. Honestly, I was pretty lean. The only thing, obviously, is like any first time competitor, I was way too small. So I have plans to hopefully compete. Um, Maybe the end of 2023. We'll see. Uh, I've been in a little bit of a bulk phase for the past year and a half, and then I slimmed down a little bit for summer. Got to have those summer abs, and then we'll see kind of where this fall takes me. I don't. I see a lot of people that do like show after show after show every year, and it's like they always kind of look the same. And for me, it's all about progression, and that's, I mean, the main reason I even work out is just progression. So I want to make sure that next time I do get on stage that I'm a completely different bodybuilder. I don't want to look back and be like, well, your back shot pretty much looks the same. Your front shot pretty much looks the same. What were we doing here? So, I hopefully end of 2023 and maybe beginning of 2024, I'll get something in the works. But we'll just kind of see what my coach thinks and where we're going from there. But yeah, that's the plans as of right now. But we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, it's an ongoing and ever evolving type of experience. So you got plenty of time to work with it and make those improvements that you want to make. But what were some of the biggest lessons learned, other than obviously you got to put on some size? But what else did you learn about yourself, about the process, about competing in general?
Oh man, I got a few. So the one that my coach always says is, "You're fatter than you think you are, and you're smaller than you think you are." And
That's
it's
awesome.
like it's a slap in the face, but it's like it's true. It's like unless your freaking butt feels like the back of your hand and like you have no like fat back there, like you're fatter than you think you are. So that was a good one. And then honestly, the two main ones is like I hear people when they're dieting that they're always like complaining about being around people, or like people are eating around them, or their family is like doing a certain event and they don't want to be there. It's like you signed up for this. Like if you don't like it, don't do it. It's just like it bothers me to see people say that they're doing this and that they enjoy it so much, and then all you see is like complaining about it. It's like the people that you're living with, the people that you hang around with, the people that you love, like they didn't sign up for you to be a grumpy asshole just because you can't eat a freaking waffle. Like just like they didn't sign up for that. You need to just know that that's your stuff. You can still be around them when they're eating ice cream. Just like muster up, like get over it. So that was a big thing. And then honestly, like the last one would probably be like, it doesn't matter, say, if I was 3 weeks out and I had a cookie. Realistically, could I have had a cookie and would I have looked any worse? No. But it's the principal point to be like, I'm not going to do that because if by some chance I go into this show and I get second, I know in my head that I ate that fucking cookie. Like, it's certain stuff like that. It's like, you don't need it that bad. Your body's capable of way more than what you think it is. And you'll be fine without the cookie. And after that, you can go to Cheesecake Factory and you can enjoy that. But it's just like, what you think you need in that moment is so minuscule and the gratification is instant. But then after that, it's all regret. And I'll be honest, I didn't cheat on my diet once, and I'm so glad I didn't because I would have looked back and been like, well, I know I did. They don't know, but I know I did.
Mm-hmm.
So those were probably the three main things. And yeah, man, I can't wait to do it again. To be honest, I love having the structure of a prep. It's like because you're so productive, you know what you're gonna do, and you honestly have way more energy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that structure thing is huge. I'm just even just running a diet right now, and I feel like, every night I'm like getting some food ready for the following day. And it's just like you're in that routine, and it feels like stuff's just clicking, not only in your training, in your nutrition, but in other areas of life too. So I'm 100% with you there.
It's great too because it's like you go into your day and there's no guesswork.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't even have to think about it. I pop this in the microwave, I'm done. Like whereas, maybe a typical person every day, they're like, well, do I want to go get Taco Bell for lunch or maybe McDonald's or actually there's a chicken place down the street. It's like you already know. There's no guesswork. You get your stuff in, you feel better, and that's just kind of what it is, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Good points there. That mental fatigue can catch up to you, and then it's like you only have so much like decision making you can make. So if you can kind of like make certain things automatic, you'll have other energy to devote towards other things. So that's a really good point there.
Absolutely, man.
And to really just rub it in the face of anyone that might be prepping or dieting, what are some of your go-to spots so far in Nashville? Have you had any great food or great drinks, any fun spots in general that you've enjoyed so far?
Um, Honestly, I haven't had a whole lot of food yet. But there are a few mom and pop, just little like literally building can't be any more than like 50 by 50 building. But they're just like little barbecue places. Just you'll see them on the side of the road. And I've stopped by a few of them. I honestly couldn't even tell you the name, but I've stopped by one or two of them. The one I got was like a whole it was brisket sandwich with barbecue, and they give you like homemade cornbread and like all that good stuff. And you're just like, damn, this was made with some love. Like you can just tell. And then there's another place not too far from my house. It's called I think it's called Wits, and you can buy their shredded chicken by like the pound.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually use that for my meals during the week sometimes because they don't really have like anything like bad seasoned, like anything bad in it. It's just seasoning and probably like a little bit of chicken broth and stuff like that. But it is so damn tender and it is so good. Just mix that in for your meals instead of having like a regular chicken breast, and it's just top notch.
Just hits.
It hits, as the kids say, it hits.
Awesome, dude. Yeah. Well, I want to ask you one more question before I let you go because I want to be conscious of your night, let you get on with it. It's going to be a loaded question. So whatever comes to your mind first. But what would you change about the fitness industry?
Oh,
The perfect reaction. What came to your mind?
oh man. I don't know. I don't like to sound bitter about certain things, but like I feel like there's so much just like useless stuff. Like it's like I see people blowing up on like and you've probably seen it too, blowing up on like TikTok and Instagram. And I'll like be like, oh, dude looks pretty good. Like let me see like what he posts. And it's like shirtless pic, shirtless pic, flex pic, flex, him and his girlfriend, like him sitting in a car. It's like I feel like a lot of the people that get that clout or that get that following, I get it. Like they're inspiring in some way, maybe showing that this is what they did to work towards that physique, but they're not necessarily providing a ton of value in the sense of how did you actually do it in a sense of like training wise or education wise, or this is what I did to kind of find out what my macros needed to be for that, body type or whatever, like just certain stuff like that. It's like there's not a ton of people that are in the educational space that have that following. Now, don't get me wrong, there's some, Dr. Mike Israetel, my coach, Dusty Hanshaw, he's always putting out good stuff. But it's like the very like top followed people, it's the same thing. They're just posting the same thing every single time. And, you know, if they like it, they like it. But it's like, to me, I see it and I'm like, okay, cool. Like it doesn't add any value to my life, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, man. 100% agree because I think, you and I are similar in that we're always trying to get that good information out there, and it's a struggle at times. But I think what I've tried to do is like you would with any personal training client. And this goes to everybody listening too, is you got to meet people halfway with whatever you're doing in life. You got to meet
Oh,
them.
100%.
I think like to me, I always ask myself like, does this bring value? And that used to be my central governing tenant was like I have to put out like a really fucking banger post. It's like putting out like some really good stuff. And sometimes I'm just like, one off, I'll do like some stupid ass reel where I'm doing whatever,
Dude,
following a trend. And
dude, your goofy reels kill me.
yeah, I don't know. I guess some ideas sometimes, like the Did you see my post where I was doing like a hack squat and everybody's like, "Why are you locking your knees and shit?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then like I had like at least 5 comments in there like, "Don't lock your knees." Someone was like, all caps, "Please, for the sake of your health, don't lock your knees." So you just like you got to address those little things and marry the two, like value and fun at the same time. And I think that's where people will excel is like when you're really able to marry those two, because there is just so many things that I see out there. I'm like, this is almost why a lot of people won't succeed, is because this is what they're subscribing to, this is what they're consuming, and it's just like, yeah, that's great, like you said, you hit the nail on the head. It's a little bit inspirational, but how is that enabling you to get to where they are? How are you learning anything to apply to your life and make a change? So you bring up a really good point there. I'm with you. That's something I would definitely switch up as well. And you did a really good job of answering that one because, yeah, super loaded question, but that's a great point, man.
Yeah, and I will say though, like I do think in these past couple of years, people are probably starting to back off of that content a little bit more, and they are getting more into the educational side of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's still there, and it always will be. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, it's an entertainment type business in a way because it is how you look for some people. So I get it, but I do like to see stuff that adds that educational value.
Yeah, man. Right there with you. Right there with you. Well, we're at just about an hour. I appreciate you coming on, Hunter. I think this is a good one. There's like a lot of just like following your story. It's a really consumable podcast in that you're just learning about someone and learning what they've been through, maybe learning from their mistakes, learning about, what they would do differently, and learning what they did well. So appreciate all your insights. Yeah, dude. And if you ever want to come back for a part two, we can always chop it up again, dude.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, we got Hunter's Instagram out there. I'm gonna put it in the show notes as well. So if you're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or YouTube, just go ahead, click the links. They'll all be there for you, hyperlinked. Go ahead and give my man a follow. We talked about some online coaching. So if you're in the market, I think that work hard mentality is where you're gonna get the good coach for that. Is there any other things you want to plug? Any other places that the people can find you, my man?
No, not really, man. Just yeah, probably on Instagram. Yeah, just always trying to put out some more stuff for people. I know you're real good at keeping consistent with that stuff. I got to get more on my day-to-day stuff and make sure that I start doing that. You pump out a good amount of content. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's time consuming, man, but I don't know. I'd like to say it's making a difference. Let's hope it is.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is.
So if you're ever in Nashville, go ahead, hit Hunter up, roll through for a workout. We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna change the whole Nashville fitness scene and make it something exciting. But once again, I appreciate you, Hunter. I appreciate y'all for listening. I'll catch y'all in episode 53.